Alright, buddy. This is Bleach episode 5 review. So basically, right here, this is going to be a review slash criticism towards this episode. So far, this episode got me kind of worried, man. I am not gonna lie with y'all, man. And it's not that the pacing was off; it was too fast, like I've seen people say. It's for this specific episode. This episode should have had probably the best animation right here, man. They flopped on the animation right here, man. There were so many scenes. There were a couple scenes where it was um just what how do you say it? It was it was a just a like just a still image of the captains. And I really feel like this right here should have they should have went all out like with the animation. There was certain times where the art looked iffy. There were times where like with Renji, like his facial expressions were like kind of off, especially with Byakuya's not enough definition in the facial structures, and that was very disappointing, man. It was disappointing. I wanted to see a lot of good, solid, not the best animation. Keep in mind, but at least the animation we've been getting the last couple of episodes on par with that, but not even better. But right here, they kind of the budget. I don't know if the budget was low, but this shit they should have went all out. They should have surpassed what they did in the past couple of episodes, right? Because this is very like pivotal to the arc, bruh. This is the first invasion right here. The very first invasion. This is where the Quincy come in. The Storm Raiders introduced. This is all out war right here. In the manga, this was done very beautiful, but in anime, they should have stepped up the animation right here, man. They should have stepped it up, man. They had to do better. They had to right here, man. But that's my criticism for the episode right here, man. It should have been better animated, man. Especially this episode, man. This episode right here, for the first episode of the Quincy invasion, it should have been solid animation, man. It should have been solid, man. And I think they flopped. I don't know if the budget was lower for this episode, which it doesn't make sense, because this is not a seasonal anime. As we know, this has been in the making, not in the making for 5 years, but it's been greenlit for 5 years already. And it's been in production before even the virus began. So I don't know what's going on right here for this specific episode. The rest of the episodes, they've been great, they've been amazing. But they should have they should have spent a bigger budget on this episode, what I'm saying. And they flopped. I don't know what happened. I don't know, man. But basically, the episode starts off with it started off which this was very nice art right here. This I'm not gonna lie, this was very clean. We saw the Cerete with all the Rish pillars all over the Soul Society basically, and that was done very nicely right there. And yeah, I liked it where we go straight to the Squad Barracks 3, and that's where we got introduced to one of the captains basically. And I forgot what his name was, but it's one of the visored captains that we got introduced in the fake Katakura town. It was one of the visors basically. And yeah, and we get introduced. I'll get into that in a minute, but then we get Renji versus Asnov, a little not a battle, but just a little face off right there. And we see Renji just coming in, saying Renji shit. That boy, he he was lucky going crazy right there. But yeah, then we get I really liked when what was it? It wasn't that part, but I might as well get into it. We saw that boy Byakuya step in. That boy Byakuya stepped in the Bidak. And right there, when he was walking, like right here, this is what I mean, where the animation should have been way better than what it was right there. Right there, when we saw Byakuya's entrance, that shit should have been way better than it was right there, man. Especially not the way he was walking, that shit was fine and everything. But right here, I'm talking about the art. The art on his facial expression should have been way better, way more detailed, way more refined. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and then basically we get the captains each matchup. We saw Shunsui, we saw Soifon, Toshiro, and yeah. These are the main battles we're heading towards right now. And then the first one we saw was Asnoth and Byakuya and Renji. And yeah, we're basically setting up for the battles now. And we got to see better, man. We got next episode. If it's a s if the animation does not improve from what we got this episode, I'm worried, man. I am worried, man. Like this cannot be, the animation cannot be this. It was not bad, obviously, but it has to be better, man. Especially since Bleach has it's a status anime, it's a status manga. It cannot be this low, especially for it being in the making for this long, man. I don't know if my expectations were too high. No, I'm not gonna say that because these last episodes have been great, man. They've been great. They've been great. But this episode, man, they flopped the animation, man, with the facial expressions. They should have done way better. Yeah, and then we see, we see the captains pull out their bankais, and they get, and this is where they find out they don't, they don't, how do you say it? They don't, they don't, what you call it? They don't hide their bankais. They, they take them. They take their bankais away from them. They basically just boot, like they hijack their bankais basically, and that's where we find out that they actually steal their bankais. They don't hide their bankais away. And then right there we saw a beautiful scream of Toshida saying Hyori Maru. That shit, I ain't even know that shit was live. Hyori Maru. Where was it at? Hyori Maru. And then we saw Shunsui's eye. That boy got blasted in the eye. Like he can't see from his right eye anymore. His most likely, I'm not spoiling, but most likely his eye is gone right there for the entire arc. For the entire arc, basically, right there. And like right there, we did see a little clean animation. All right, right here, when I'm gonna go a step back a little, but when we saw Renji before Byakuya stepped in, we saw the machista dude stepped in with the mask, and when tried to hit Renji like a slam down with his fist going down, when his fist hit the floor, the rocks were like just squares, where they had no texture to them. They had nothing. That's what I was talking about. Bad animation right there. The animation when he slammed the ground, that was poor animation, man. That was very poor animation right there. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, go look at what I'm talking about before Becky steps in. Look when that the dude with the mask with the Rey Mysterio motherfucker, when he slammed the floor trying to get Renji. Look how bad animation that shit was. Like that was the first instant where that shit was actually poor animation right there. That was poor animation right there, man. Then we get to see this was fire. Like this is where the animation should have kept. This is how the animation should have kept flowing the whole episode. Basically, we get to see Byakuya's Bankai Senbon Sakura Kageyoshi, and that shit was clean. That shit was clean right there. Yeah, that shit was clean. Then we step to Weka Mundo. We get to see it's still a little battle between Ichigo and Kyuuge. But this is interesting because we see Mr. Urahara, he gets a phone call from Akon from Soul Society, and he's basically telling him, "Give me Ichigo. Where is this man? Get him on the line right now, right this second." And he's basically telling him he can't because Ichigo right now is fighting. He is still in a battle against Kyuuge, and then he's basically telling him, "I need him right now." And then Urahara's like, "So tell me, Akon, how's the status of Soul Society? You gotta answer my question. How is it?" And he keeps saying. And then basically Kyuuge, he's so upset right now because he cannot steal Ichigo's Bankai. He cannot steal it. So he gets frustrated to the point where he lowers his guard and Urahara just lands a fatal blow to Kyuuge. And then that's when he passes the phone to Ichigo. And then Ichigo steps into the Garganta and he starts running towards Soul Society. And then yeah, Alcon just is kind of explaining the situation to Ichigo, but then Kyuuge out of nowhere, he shoots an arrow straight into the Garganta to close it off. And then we get a panel of Chad is missing like his ribs, and then he gets bodied. Even Urahara is shocked, like what the fuck. So basically, Kyuuge sealed Ichigo in the Garganta. So he cannot go into Soul Society anymore. He is trapped in a bubble in the middle of the Garganta. And that's basically where the episode left off, man. But this episode kind of failed me, man. Like, we need to see better. Like, the next episode, I need to see solid animation, man. I got to, bro. I My expectation for this arc is so high, man. It has to do with the manga data, man. It has to, man. This is my favorite arc in all of Bleach, right? This Thousand Year Blood War was amazing in the manga. And this episode, I am getting worried, man. I am getting worried. And keep in mind, man, just one episode can set your mood down for the whole series, bruh. Because keep in mind, the past four episodes were amazing. But this specific episode, man, this shit, I don't know, man. I hope it steps it up for the next episode. But anyways, guys, I'll see y'all, man.